My name is Tennyson Stead. This is the 8-Sided Blog, and today I'm just going to talk about my 5 favorite movies. I want to start making an effort to kind of reach people on a more personal level. I'm autistic, so when I talk about issues revolving around the entertainment industry, or when I talk about how to succeed in entertainment, or I talk about the projects that I'm working on, that actually is intensely personal for me. That's the things that I invest in and are the things that I care about the most. And at the same time, context matters. I get that. And so this is just a little bit of emotional context. So the first film to talk about here, I think, is The Right Stuff. I grew up desperately wanting to be in the space program, and even to the extent where I had, correspondences with people at NASA while I was in elementary school. I had the good fortune to go to space camp a bunch of times, and NASA history was a huge, huge part of my childhood, and that's part of why I love The Right Stuff, is because they really did such a good job on the dramaturgy and the authenticity of the culture of NASA and of bringing kind of these naval and Air Force flyboys into an environment run by academics, and the sort of culture clash that existed between those two factions, and how those groups of people work together to solve the problem of putting Americans in space for the first time is a delight. But it's the only part of why I love the movie. The cast is Sam Shepard plays Chuck Yeager. It's my favorite Sam Shepard performance, and Sam Shepard's one of those actors where it's going to be hard to pick a favorite performance. He's a delight to watch. Ed Harris and Lance Hendrickson and Fred Ward, Scott Glenn, and just all these. Dennis Quaid. I love Dennis Quaid. It's a watching that cast of actors work together to, find their lines of action and bring this moment in American history to life. Watching the work that the special effects teams are doing to try and legitimize everything. It's just, the whole thing is just, it's the kind of effort that makes you believe, not just the effort that went into putting these Americans in space, but the effort of making the film feels like the kind of effort that you want to see from, NASA. It's just, it's a movie that warms my heart on every level. And The Tale of Zatoichi is a movie starring Shintaro Katsu, with something like 26, 27 sequels. And it was a series that ran in Japan over the course of, I think, about 2 decades. But what it's about is a wandering Ronin who is trying to make his way in feudal Japan as a blind person. And he's a gambler, and he likes to party, and at the same time, of course, society in Japan at that point is pretty unforgiving to disabled people, and the only job that you can really have as a blind person in this society is as a masseuse. So he goes from town to town just trying to make some money, either through gambling or through massage, and along the way he keeps on finding the greedy, exploitive, Yakuza gangsters and mobsters who run these towns, and one by one he takes them down. And every single film is about that on some level. He's funny, he's witty, and I came across this. I'd been hearing about these movies from film nerds for years, and I hadn't watched them. But with the brain injury, there were plenty of times where I needed to chill out and calm down and not try and work, and I caught up on a lot of film history, and I watched the entire series of Zatoichi films. I don't know if there's ever going to be a samurai film that I like quite so much. And what's delightful about, apart from the obvious fact that this is one of the best examples of disability on film in film history. Now, that's not to say that there aren't problems with it. And that's not to say that, when these movies were being made, there weren't a lot of preconceived notions about blindness and about disabled people in general that even today wouldn't hold up. But I still think it's got a strong line of action. Zatoichi is always, as a character, driving the series forward. You don't see that. Disabled movies tend to be about what's happening to the disabled person and how able-bodied people come in and resolve that situation. And, in the disabled community, we call that inspiration porn. Here's this guy with a sword running across Japan, hacking up Yakuza like it's his job. It's amazing to watch. But beyond that, there's so much humor and so much fun and so much delight in the performances and in the directing. And I don't think there's another series of samurai films that brings as much dimension to the genre as you get from Zatoichi. I love it so much. I really love The Martian. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. I think everybody who saw that movie in theaters found something to like about it. I think that it was it was up for Oscars, which doesn't really often happen with science fiction. So, nobody's going to argue that Ridley Scott isn't a fantastic director. Nobody's going to argue with the cast of that movie, which was deep, deep, deep. What a bench. Oh my gosh. When you've got Chiwetel Ejiofor and Jeff Daniels in supporting roles, there's something going. It was magnificent, and I think that everybody who was involved in that production felt on some level the benefit of working so closely with NASA on it, culturally speaking. One of the things that The Martian is about, and one of the things that I've always loved about the space program, is that the people who dedicate themselves to this work do not allow themselves to be the reason why something fails. They absolutely insist on providing their absolute best to the people around them, because the work that they do is inherently life-threatening and because they respect it so much. And it's not one or the other, it's both of those things. It's that profound respect for the effort of the people around you and the unwillingness to be the reason why that effort fails is inspiring and beautiful, and it brings out the best in human nature. And that's what I aspire to in my own work. I don't know if you've seen Hail Caesar from the Coen brothers, but it is absolutely a celebration of the people who make movies. And I love it for that. I love the fact that I know all of the people in that movie. All the actors who are performing in that movie know their characters well, because they're surrounded by them every day. And there's a timelessness to the work that the people in the productions that are covered kind of by the scope of this movie are doing to see those productions through. And even when, some of these people have profound character flaws, they're still ennobled by the effort to make the show better. That's, it's a satire, but it's the most loving satire I've ever seen in my life. And if Hollywood doesn't deserve that, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's the kind of movie where you watch it and you want to be involved in the lives of the people who made it. And it makes you feel like part of the family in a way that I find super pleasing. So, there's never a time when I sit down and watch Hail Caesar and I laugh at it every time. And the last movie in my top 5 right now is one that I will watch at the drop of a hat, but I can never get anyone to watch it with me. It's Autumn Sonata by Ingmar Bergman, and it's the story of a concert pianist played by Ingrid Bergman, who's coming back to Sweden. Her daughter's played by Liv Ullmann. She's going to visit a funeral. One of her colleagues has died. She's going to be at the funeral, and she's asking her daughter to put her up while she's in town. And it's a war between this mother and this daughter. The daughter has lived a really hard life because of the neglect and abuse her mom has inflicted upon her. And the daughter is looking for her mom to acknowledge this in some way, and her mom never will. And the mother is looking for the daughter to accept accountability for her own life and admit that she was the best mother she could have been under the circumstances, which is not the case. And it's gripping, because these two women are trying to get these confessions out of one another from the first frame of the movie. When the movie opens, you've got, Liv Ullmann knows that her mom is coming, so she's moving through the house and setting things up to make everything either unassailably perfect or to get her mother to notice the right things to draw her into the conflicts that she wants to draw her into and kind of trap her. It's this whole passive-aggressive thing, and then the mother comes in and immediately starts nitpicking her way through the house to sort of put her daughter off balance, and it's so directed, it's so acutely action-based, and at the same time it's so intimate that it makes you sick to watch. For me, the relationships in Autumn Sonata are so intertwined with my own familial experience that the first time I saw it, I couldn't speak to my family for like 2 weeks. I had to sit with it and really come to terms with what I'd seen. And, since then, it's kind of become my lodestone for how to direct intimate scene work and how to write intimate scene work. And even the pastor that Liv Ullmann's character married, she lives with a pastor. The pastor is trying to build a happy home with this woman who's, a mess and a survivor of abuse and really struggling. And he's just trying to create a happy, supportive household. And of course, that's not exactly what she wants. She wants closure and vindication. She's after something else. So these efforts, the conflict doesn't come from the perspectives. It comes from the action of the story. The whole thing is, if you haven't seen Autumn Sonata, you should sit down and watch it. And you need to be mentally prepared for it. But I've reached a point now where I'm kind of always mentally prepared for it, and I will, sit down, go through the paces. The reason it's called Autumn Sonata is because I don't want to spoil it. Watch the movie. Right now, those are my 5 top movies. Like 5 ready to go. Watch this right now. Yes, absolutely movies. And that's what I wanted to cover in this blog. So thank you for showing up and watching. If you like what you're getting from these 8-sided blogs, please make sure to click the thumbs up. Please click subscribe and the little bell icon so you get the notification when the next blog becomes available. And have a great week.